Good evening, and thank you for having me. Oftentimes, it seems that we get caught up in our own little world and we do not pay attention to what's going on around us, like politics and changes in laws, local laws, national laws. However, there is one law that I know will affect most of you in this room, and that is the FLSA law. Does the salary amount of $47,476 a year mean anything to you? Besides, it's a pretty good salary. In 2016, the U.S. Department of Labor Wage and Hour Division announced that they were increasing the salary and compensation level needed for professional workers to remain exempt, and to qualify for the exempt status, the salary threshold would be raised to $47,476, and that would be enacted in December 1st, 2016. Not only would it increase in 2016, it would increase every 3 years beginning in 2020. This law alone could put small businesses out of business. I want to share with you why this is important to you. Whether you're an employee, an employer, you're about to graduate and become an employee, whether you work in human resources, accounting, budget, you manage employees, you want to start your own business, you own your own business, you need to keep up with this law. I've been in human resources for at least 20 years and have my PHR certification in human resources. This law has been the most impactful law to a business that I have seen, witnessed, and worked many hours to make the change in my own organization. There are 3 items of information that I want you to know and take back to your respective field. I want you to know more about exempt and non-exempt employees, how this law affects you, and I want you to know where the law stands as of today. So we'll start with the background of the law. The Fair Labor Standards Act was enacted in 1938, and it requires employers to pay their employees a minimum wage, and for any time worked over 40 hours in a week, you must pay overtime, unless the employee would qualify for the white-collar exemption. For today's purposes, I want to speak to the recent changes to the salary threshold, which has a determination on whether you are an exempt employee or a non-exempt employee. The law was written to protect employees from being overworked and underpaid. So what qualifies a position to be exempt or non-exempt? An exempt position is usually one of authority. They supervise others. They have authority outside of policy. They can write policy. Whereas a non-exempt employee does more repetitive work. You think of a factory worker where they do the same thing over and over and over. That's the easiest thing to relate to a non-exempt employee. They're paid hourly, and they're paid for any time worked over 40 hours a week, so they are non-exempt. The next step in determining if a job is exempt or non-exempt is a salaries test, hence the salary threshold of $23,660, which is where it stood before 2016. So if the job based on the duties test was an exempt position and the employee associated with the job makes a minimum of $23,660, then they are exempt from overtime. Now, with the change in this law, the employee would have to make double that amount of money to remain exempt from overtime. Do you know what that means? You as an employer are going to have to pay anyone and everyone who makes less than $47,000 overtime. This could cost you a lot of money. How does the change to the FLSA law affect me? Whether you're an employee or an employer, it does affect you. It has been a long time since the Department of Labor raised the salary threshold, and that could be one reason it doubled 100%. The duties test for jobs was changed not too long ago, making it more strict, again to protect the employee. Overtime adds unforeseen cost to the bottom line. However, not paying employees appropriately can be costly as well. So for that, small business, retailers, and nonprofit organizations, they are placed in a very challenging situation. The last item of information that I want to share is that on November the 22nd of 2016, a federal judge from Texas filed an injunction stopping the ruling from moving forward, calling the regulation unlawful and noting that changes like those included in the rule should be left to Congress. It was declared an emergency injunction nationwide and everything was put on hold. Now the law was to go into effect on December 1st, so you had to have all your movement of employees completed, you had to communicate it and have them paid correctly by December 1st. So most companies had already completed all the work to make this happen, and now they're dealing with the aftermath. And so now what do? You've moved your employees to non-exempt. They are not happy with the move. And you ask why? Why wouldn't they be happy with being paid overtime? Because if they were exempt before, they're used to working over 40 hours. Status, they like saying they're a manager, an assistant director, or a director, and they're exempt, but they work a lot of hours. Their pay cycle might change. Where I work, exempt employees are paid once a month. Non-exempt employees are paid bi-weekly, and they're also paid in arrears. So you have to work the time before you're paid for the hours worked. Their bills are already being paid, automatically debited from their account based on a certain pay schedule. They just don't like change, and now they find out you can go back to the way it was until there's a final ruling. What will you as a business do? It costs a lot of money to go back. It costs a lot of money to pay employees overtime. Pay attention to this law. It's impactful and will cost you money as an employer and possibly could put you out of business. In my professional opinion, the increase was too much, too quick, with very little time to plan. How will your business survive the change? Thank you.